Right now, someone with your exact income, your exact age, and your exact starting point is quietly becoming wealthy. The difference is not luck, it is not background, and it is not timing. It is a specific set of behaviors and beliefs that almost always predict financial success, long before the money ever shows up. Here are 15 signs that you are going to be rich. Keep score of how many apply to you, and stay for the bonus insight at the very end. Let's start with sign 15. Sign 15 is deep curiosity about how wealth actually works, not obsessing over how it looks, but studying how it is built. You are fascinated by the process of creating value from nothing. A problem, a solution, a transaction, and suddenly something that did not exist before is worth something real. You see money as a tool for one thing above everything else: freedom. Freedom over your time, your location, and who you spend your life with. Not as a way to solve immediate problems, but as a vehicle towards something much, much bigger. That distinction alone separates the ones who get there from the ones who do not. Sign 14. While most people focus on cutting costs, you understand something fundamentally different. There is a hard floor on how little you can spend, but there is no ceiling on how much you can earn. Budgeting is a survival strategy. Increasing your income is a freedom strategy, and you have already made the shift from thinking about one to pursuing the other. And here is the move you are already thinking about. High income is powerful, but turning that income into ownership, in a business, in assets, in equity, is what creates lasting independence. Sign 13. You do not avoid uncomfortable conversations. Salary negotiations, asking for equity, proposing your own terms, setting clear expectations before anything starts. Most people avoid these conversations because they feel uncomfortable, but uncomfortable silence is expensive. You have figured that out. One clear conversation about salary, equity, timeline, or scope can turn a good opportunity into a genuinely life-changing one. You make that conversation happen. Sign 12. While most people experience life passively, you have made a deliberate decision. You see the financial world as a game with specific rules, limited resources, and skills that can actually be mastered. You set clear financial milestones, not vague goals like be rich someday, but specific checkpoints that tell you exactly where you are in the game and what comes next. And here is the part that separates you from the crowd. You actually enjoy the mechanics, the strategy, the puzzle. That genuine enjoyment is a massive competitive advantage that cannot be faked. Sign 11. Sign 11 is this. You have realized that you are your own most valuable investment, the asset with the highest possible return, if you actually treat it that way. Spending money on a course, a book, a coach, or starting a venture is not a cost to you. It is capital you are putting into the highest yield asset you own. And you trust your own skills enough to build something for yourself, rather than spending your best years constructing someone else's vision of success. Sign 10. You actively seek out the voices of people who have already achieved what you are working toward. Books, interviews, podcasts, direct mentorship, you use every channel available. You understand that mentorship is among the most powerful shortcuts in existence. Why repeat every mistake yourself when someone else already made them and left you a better map? The wealthy rarely figure it out alone. They borrow the map from someone who already walked the territory, and you are smart enough to do the same. Sign 9. Starting to make money early is one of the clearest signs of future wealth, not because of how much you make at first, but because of what that early earning does to your mind and your habits. Every year you start earlier is a year of compounding learning and compounding returns that the person who starts later simply cannot buy back at any price. And here is the really interesting thing. Early earning often makes you unemployable in the traditional sense. Once you have seen what building for yourself feels like, working for someone else's ceiling is a very hard trade. Sign 8. Your income really does average out with the 5 people you spend the most time with. That is not just an inspiring quote, it is a documented, repeating pattern across every economic study that has looked at it. You intentionally seek out rooms where you are the least experienced person present, not because it is comfortable, but because you know that discomfort is exactly how the average rises. You curate your relationships the way a smart investor curates a portfolio, intentionally, strategically, and always in the direction of growth. Sign 7. Sign 7 is this: you do not wait until you have significant money to start investing. You invest what you can right now because you know the habit matters far more than the amount at first. Small, consistent investments prove to yourself that you can manage money responsibly, so that when significantly larger sums eventually arrive, your habits are already built and waiting. This is exactly like building physical strength. No serious athlete waits until competition day to begin training. You are already training, and that matters enormously. Sign 6. You know your income, you know your expenses, and you know your exact net worth right now. Not approximately, exactly. That level of clarity is far rarer than most people think. You check these numbers every month, not obsessively, but consistently, because you know that you cannot improve what you are not willing to measure. Most people are guessing at their own finances. You are tracking yours. That single difference, compounded over years, produces a very, very wide gap. Sign 5. While others are still planning to begin, you have already begun. You prioritize execution over endless preparation because you understand that clarity comes from action, not the other way around. You accomplish in a weekend what others spend months preparing for, not because you were smarter, but because you move before you feel completely ready, and you learn from the doing. Urgency is not anxiety. It is a learned skill, and you have developed it. The world rewards people who act, and it rewards them compoundingly over time. Sign 4. Sign 4 is a deep-rooted belief in your own financial destiny. You do not just hope you will be wealthy someday. You know it. The timeline is uncertain. The destination is not. There is a fundamental difference between hoping for a better financial future and knowing it is coming. That certainty changes how you show up every single day in ways that are invisible to everyone else but you. You see your current circumstances as simply taking time to catch up with what you already know is true about yourself. And that perspective, consistently held, tends to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sign 3. Pessimists often sound like the smartest people in the room. They can identify every risk, every flaw, every possible way something could fail. But optimists are the ones who get rich. The two things are not as connected as most people believe. You do not ignore problems. You see them as opportunities waiting to be solved, and increasingly, to be monetized. Where others see crisis, you are already spotting the market gap. You see a future that other people simply cannot visualize yet. That vision gap between what you see and what they see is one of the most underrated predictors of financial success ever studied. Sign 2. Persistence is an unfair advantage. Most people quit, not because their path was wrong, but simply because staying on it was uncomfortable, and uncomfortable felt like a signal to stop. Success very often arrives just before the moment most people give up. The only way to catch it is to still be standing when it shows up. Whether it takes 5 years or 20, you are committed to your path. Quitting is not a door you even leave open because you decided that at the very beginning. And sign 1, the most powerful sign of all. Sign 1 has nothing to do with your current bank balance. It is this: you have already begun to adopt the identity of a wealthy person before the money confirms it. You have stopped asking, "Can I afford this?" and started asking, "How can I afford this?" That one-word difference rewires the way your brain approaches every single problem it encounters. You see roadblocks as detours, never dead ends. You view the world through the lens of someone whose financial success is simply a matter of when, not if. You are becoming rich in your identity before it is reflected in your reality, and the pattern is clear. Identity drives behavior, behavior builds the account, in that order. And here is the bonus insight, the one they never put on lists like this. The only truly wasted time is time spent wishing you were somewhere else, or someone else. The financially free version of you does not appear by accident. It is crafted with intentional effort, updated behavior, and immediate action. That combination is what separates the people who get there from everyone who only intended to. So, how many of those 15 signs did you recognize in yourself? Be honest. Even 5 is an extraordinary foundation. 8 or more, and your financial future is already in motion. If this resonated with you, take 1 second to hit like. It genuinely directly helps more people find this video. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one, where we go much deeper on exactly what wealthy people do differently from the very first hour of their day. And drop your number in the comments. How many of these 15 signs were you? I genuinely read every single one, and I want to know. I will see you in the next one.